Well, I think we all saw this coming a mile away. You literally have to have been living under a rock not to know that this was on the cards. And of course, we've learnt just this morning that Liz Truss is putting forward the UK's application to join the CPTPP, or the Cooperation something Trans-Pacific Partnership. It's something like that. But essentially, what used to be called the TTP, then America left, and then the other countries just went, well, we're going to still go ahead with it, and essentially call it the CPTPP now, which, again, is really annoying. But essentially, I'm just going to call it the Pacific Partnership, because effectively, that's what it is. It's just I don't have to go like CTTPP. You know what I'm talking about when I call it that. But this has been on the cards since the very beginning. Even back in like 2016 during the referendum, the Leave campaign was hyping up joining like the Pacific Partnership as being this wonderful thing. But as we've always said, what benefit does Britain actually get out of being in this partnership? And the real answer is nothing. What it does is it allows essentially the Tories to remove as much EU regulations as possible to enter into their and engage fully with their, free market fundamentalism, because a lot of these countries under the Pacific Partnership rules have essentially removed 0% tariffs. Now, we've already done the deal, obviously, with Australia, but there's still huge concerns about this. Not only that, remember, we saw huge protests, even in the UK, about like the TTP. So it's very, very possible that there could be similar protests that could almost certainly make the Tories rethink about joining this partnership. Because I've always said it before, the two big ideas are at play here of global Britain and levelling up. And it's very clear the Tories are going for this global Britain agenda. But the problem is the more that they lean into that, the more that it undermines the levelling up agenda, which, bear in mind, a lot of like the northern MPs are very committed to that idea. So when it comes to the push and shove on this, it's very clear that the whole levelling up agenda and rhetoric that we've heard from the Tories is, of course, absolute nonsense. And of course, we've also got the idea of how on earth is the UK going to convince these other countries to now let the UK have favourable trade rules which favour UK traders. Because remember, all these countries are pretty close together, whereas we're all the way over here. How does that work? How do we get favourable trading regulations? It doesn't make any sense. But again, like I say, and of course we're not going to see any assessments from this yet. And like I say, the Australian assessment was basically 0.02%. Again, in global GDP terms, is nothing. And that's just us. But again, why are we joining this? It's a complete waste of time. It's not going to get us anything, but it fulfills the Brexiteers' long fantasy on this. So let's jump into the article then, but before we do that, please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe button, and also down below there are links to my Patreon page, as well as a one-off donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all the people who do support me that way. So, on with the article. And this comes from The Guardian. The title is, the UK begins talks to join the Asia-Pacific CPTPP trade treaty. So, the UK is beginning negotiations to join a free trade alliance with the Asia-Pacific countries, a key part of its attempts to pivot away from Europe after Brexit. Britain will hold virtual talks to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. That's the full name. Strengthening trade links with 11 countries in a group which represent a market of over 500 million people. The existing members of the trade alliance are Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore and Vietnam. The UK government has said that a deal with this group would open up new markets for Britain's service industries while lowering tariffs on goods such as cars and whisky. And British exports to the 11 members of the CTP will supposedly rise by 65% to 37 billion by 2030, according to the government's estimates. It said UK trade with the group member countries could grow by 8% annually between 2016 to 2019. This is the part of the world where Britain's greatest opportunities lie. We left the EU with the promise of deepening links with old allies and of fast-growing consumer markets beyond Europe, the Trade Minister Liz Truss said. It's a glittering post-Brexit prize that I want to seize. Over the overarching CPP treaty, the vast majority of barriers to trade, including tariffs and quotas, are removed and are only reviewed in a very few sensitive areas. For example, offering protection to Canada's dairy industry and allowing Japan to keep tariffs on rice. However, unlike the EU, the alliance does not have wider political goals such as integration or the creation of a single market or customs union. Britain has already reached an agreement with one of the members, Australia, with its first new trade deal after the country after its Brexit with its post-Brexit. There we go. However, this deal has faced criticism, including from British farmers who are concerned this will allow food from cheaper and low-quality meats from huge Australian farms to flow into the British market, especially once the cap on tariff-free imports expires after 15 years. But we've already had interesting musings from Australia that that's not in the agreement, that's not there, that this just goes straight in, straight away. So Britain has applied to join the Pacific Partnership back in February. It is unclear what leverage the UK will actually have to persuade members to adapt, because this is the big question. This is why it is probably not going to happen, because the UK now has got unclear what leverage the UK will have to persuade members to adapt their existing trade agreements to suit British exporters. Are they going to do that? No, because we're halfway around the world. It doesn't make sense for us to join this partnership. What's bizarre is that all the things that they are saying, all the benefits of joining this trade partnership, the Pacific Partnership, are the exact same benefits that would benefit us from rejoining like the EU, the single market and customs union. Except there are actual tangible benefits. We've had them for the past 40 years. The alliance was created, of course, after Donald Trump withdrew from the US from the Trans-Pacific Partnership before it could be ratified, leaving the remaining 11 members to amend the agreement, which came into force in 2018. So, of course, this is just a complete nonsense. This is just, it's really just all for show, like the Australia agreement is. Again, any sensible Prime Minister or sensible cabinet would realise that trade gravity is a thing, trade flow is a thing, and just deciding to abandon Europe and somehow start trading around the world, or with other countries halfway around the world, not that really capable, not that really doable. Now, will this have an impact? Yes, it will, but as we saw from the Australian deal, it was only 0.02%. And even there, the own government says, oh, look, all these countries that were trading together, it increased their growth by like 8%. Yes, because they are close together. It's the Father Ted sketch of these cows are small, those cows are far away. It's that sketch all over again. And of course, we've got to wait for some impact assessments to come out. Whether the government will actually release impact assessments on joining this is, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But again, us joining this is a ridiculous idea. It doesn't make sense unless you factor in the fact that this is going to essentially enable the Brexiteers' free market fundamentalist wet dreams of essentially getting rid of tariffs completely and removing all regulations from the market so that they can achieve their true one perfect market where the government just is not involved at all. So, of course, thank you very much for watching. Please do remember to hit that like, share and subscribe buttons down below. And of course, there is my Patreon link as well as one donation link called Buy Me a Coffee, where you can, well, buy me a coffee. And as always, thank you to all those people who do support me that way. And of course, we'll see you all next time.